thank you everyone for coming tonight, joining us for standing for Afghanistan. I appreciate everybody for coming over here. Much love and respect to everybody coming over here supporting Afghanistan, standing for the right of Afghan women and Afghan children for their education. And you name it, our country deserves everything. Thank you guys. Let's start then.
But thank you for all coming. If you guys can crowd around us, we have some local media here that's going to film us today. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We're here today in the city of Houston. We're going to play the Afghan national anthem, Surud Mili. So can you please bring your little kids up front? And everybody who has a flag, please come and stand. Ready?
Let's go, guys.
Let's go. Stand here. Yeah.
Supermarket, come here. What's up?
So, while Abdurrahman is getting the Surud Mili ready, the Afghan national anthem, got it? We're going to be saying some Farsi chants today and some in English. The ones in Farsi are Azadi ba Khanama, Zindabad Afghanistan, Allah Akbar, and Azadi ba Afghanistan. In English, we're going to say free, free Afghanistan, delegitimize the Taliban, expedite visas now, save Afghan allies, ground drone strikes, Afghan women deserve an education, Afghan women deserve equal rights, stop human rights violations now, humanitarian aid now, save Afghan media now, Afghan girls deserve an education, we can't breathe, UN denounce the Taliban. These will be our chants. Are you ready?
Afghanistan! Afghanistan!
Now we're going to honor the 13 members of the United States military service who has died in the last 6 weeks by playing the American national anthem. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I stand before you today as an American, as an Afghan, who has a moral obligation, an ethical obligation, to raise my voice for the 38 million people who are suffering and currently being starved to death in Afghanistan. The world is silent while we witness our brothers and sisters in the biggest humanitarian catastrophe since the Vietnam War. Today we stand united. Pashtun, Tajik, Hazara, Uzbek, Imek, Turkmen, Baluch, Khwarizmi, Nuristani, Gujar, Arab, Pamari, as the Afghan diaspora in hopes of saving our homeland. We watched helplessly in just 10 days, as the Taliban swiftly took over all 34 provinces of Afghanistan, with the exception of Panjshir, a resistance that is still ongoing, made up of former members of the Afghan National Army and Panjshiris themselves, fighting for a cause that we can all agree on. Our number one enemy, the world's enemy, the Taliban. As some Afghans look for hope for Panjshir as a glimmer of hope, we know that the international community has to stand up for us. We can't do this alone. According to the United Nations, some 5 million Afghans have been displaced by the war since 9/11, making Afghanistan the world's third largest displaced population. Afghanistan is one of the poorest countries in the world. It's ranked 169 among 189 countries in the Human Development Index published by the UN's Development Program. This is the cost of war. 40 years of fighting, 2 different brain drains, 20 years apart. If you're a refugee that's at a camp today, well, I'm here to tell you that tomorrow you'll become a hardworking minority just like my parents, who started their lives over here in America nearly 40 years ago. Everyone has a horrifying, sad story leaving Afghanistan. There's not one person today here that has not had a loved one killed by the Russians or the Taliban. If you're like my mother, you never saw your parents again after the age of 20. These last 20 years of war, this country had made a promise to our Afghan people, and specifically our Afghan sisters, that they would fight for our basic human rights and fight terrorism and not take over our land. It took 20 years, nearly $2 trillion, countless lives to replace the Taliban with the Taliban. They've hijacked our land, our culture, and more importantly, our religion. The number of Afghan civilians that have been killed in 2021 alone has been 47,245 human lives. There were 1,659 Afghan civilians killed, 3,524 wounded, 47% increase compared to 2020. The United Nations assistance mission in Afghanistan needs to do more. Tomorrow is a very important day at the UN General Assembly. Secretary General Guterres received communication September 15th to the accredited Afghan ambassador Ghulam Isazai with the list of Afghanistan's delegation for the 76th UN General Assembly in New York. 5 days later, Guterres received another communication, but with a different letterhead, addressed as the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan, nominating the Taliban spokesperson Sahil Shaheen as their ambassador. Senior U.S. State Department officials said that they are aware of the Taliban's request, but they would not predict how the panel might rule. However, the UN officials said that the committee would take some time to deliberate, suggesting that the Taliban's envoy would not be able to speak at the General Assembly at this session. Afghanistan is scheduled to give the last speech tomorrow, which is very important. If the UN allows Sahil Shaheen to speak, it means the rest of the world will follow suit in recognizing Taliban as the new government. This is not what we want. It is imperative that we ask as a collective worldwide Afghan diaspora to put pressure on our lawmakers, on our senators, on our congressmen, and ask them to denounce the Taliban. I'm going to introduce some speakers, but before that, let's start some chants. Free, free Afghanistan! Delegitimize the Taliban!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Guys, we can't hear you. Let's do it again. Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Delegitimize the Taliban! Okay. We're going to have a good teacher, a friend of mine. She is an English teacher at HCC in Lone Star Community College. She's an Afghan woman who was born in Kabul and has been teaching here English as a second language for the last 30 years. Can you guys give a please round of applause to Asya Babari?
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Save Afghan lives!
Save Afghan lives!
Afghan women deserve equal rights!
Afghan women deserve equal rights!
Go ahead.
First of all, Salam alaikum به همگی. Salam به همه. Sit, Nana. Okay. Yeah. Okay. سلام به همگی. سلام به همگی و هر یکتان و بسیار خوش هستم که شما را امروز میبینم به خاطر از اینکه ما همگی فرد یک مملکت فرد از یک مملکت هستیم و به یک درد داریم و مخصوصا ما امروز میخواهیم راجع به زنها که فعلا بسیار در قید هستند و راجع به اونا گپ بزنم. I would like to thank everyone for getting here to get together to support the women right in Afghanistan, because women are mothers, women are sisters, and they deserve to be respected. We have to respect all the women as a mother, as a sister, as a teacher, whatever we are thinking. All women in the entire world have the right to go to school, to higher education, and get education, get employed, and serve for their country. Even Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife was a businessman, and she was traveling freely by her own. And also Malala Afghan was fighting in the war, and nobody could stop them. Nobody could stop those women of helping Afghan. The women in Afghanistan also had these rights for decades. They had these rights for decades. They were able to serve their people as a teacher, as a doctor, as a physician, as a nurse, as an engineer, and so much more. I am an example of one of those women who was educated in Afghanistan and worked in Afghanistan as a professor at Kabul University and a language coordinator in one of the high schools. Ministry of Education in Afghanistan proudly sent me abroad for conferences to share my knowledge. Right now, with my degree from Kabul University in Afghanistan, I have been a professor at different colleges in Houston, Texas for 30 years. Kabul University was because Kabul University was a recognized university in the world, and it must stay the same. It must stay the same. Today, we came together to show the world that we don't want anyone in any circumstance to take away the right of women and the right of higher education for Afghan women. They must have the freedom to get educated and get employed and work like anybody else. We want the world to hear our voice and support the women's right and higher education in Afghanistan. Taliban, who want to take away the rights, the women's right, might be uneducated. They do not have the knowledge to know the value and importance of education in the country. They don't have education in the country. They need to know if there is female, They need to know if there is no female doctor, where do they take their wives, daughters, sisters, mothers, and everybody? They need to leave them alone. They need to give them freedom. They need to give them freedom. They must understand the situation and let them free. Free, free, free Afghanistan.
Free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan.
Free Afghanistan.
Taliban, free the women.
Taliban, free women.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to take. Thanks a lot. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love you.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to get Engineer Faizi come here. He will be our next speaker. He's going to speak about free elections, fair elections, saving the academic institutions in Afghanistan.
السلام علیکم برادران خواهران عزیز. تشکر از اینکه زحمت کشیدین آمدین تا به درد دیگر افغانایتان که در افغانستان از بپیوندین و صدای همه افغانا شوین، خصوصا در امریکا. و میخوایم به خاطر از اینکه پیام ما برای خارجی ها، خصوصا امریکا و اروپا و دیگر جامعه بین المللی است، میخوایم که صحبت خود را به انگلیسی داشته باشیم. مننه در طول نه چې دلته راغلي، ډېر زیات مننه. دا ستاسو د یووالي نښه ده. I'm going to start about humanitarian assistance crisis back in Afghanistan and calling on the international community to pay attention on Afghan suffer and Afghan pain, especially after the U.S. withdrawal. So, we call on the international community to continue their assistance and support for the Afghan people and delegitimize the Taliban. Since the Taliban took over, the Afghan crisis and pain is going up, and it's a devastating situation back home. Every one of us, especially Afghan, has family back there, and they are well aware what's happening right there. Taliban are not delivering their promises, as they said before, when after the annexation of Afghanistan, what they did is they appointed all mullahs. If my friends, foreigner friends are not familiar with the term of mullah, mullah is someone, a religious scholar that preaches in masjid or in a mosque, as some of the priests is doing in a church. So they cannot do the job of an engineer and a doctor and some other economy things. And I'm not sure what kind of a government they are forming. Their government is not a comprehensive government to include all the tribes in Afghanistan to represent Afghan nations. So we call on the international community to not recognize the delegitimized government of the Taliban and do not give him more power as they did in Qatar, as they signed an agreement. We are against that. We don't want a double game here. We Afghans suffer for the last 40 years. This should be the end of that. We need a transparency here. We call on the Taliban to form a comprehensive government, appoint people from educational institutions. We call on the Taliban to let the people choose their government through a fair and free election without anybody's interference. Let the Afghan people to decide what they want, what kind of government they want. Any forcible government would not work, as we experienced in the last 40 years. Also, we call on the international community to deliver their promises. The international community told us in 2014, 2016, that we will not let you alone. We will never leave you alone. But what we did, what we saw, they left us alone. So we can see right now that only Afghans are suffering. We call on the Taliban to show respect to our national values and heritage, respect national flag, respect the people. Taliban had barred girls and women from school, work, and public life. We urgently ask them to give back the women and girls' rights, lead them to their fundamental rights such as education and work, respect international law and order. Again, we call on the Taliban to demilitarize the street of Kabul and other cities from their armed group, because it creates fear and anxiety in leading to unpleasant situation for the Afghan citizens. Thank you everyone for listening to my small messages. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Round of applause. Let's start some chants, okay, so that we can get the crowd going.
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Long life Afghanistan!
Long live Afghanistan! Azadi ba Khanama! Azadi ba Afghanistan!
Azadi ba Afghanistan!
Okay, I'm going to introduce Republican that's running for precinct chair of Harris County. His name is Rick Manning. Everyone can give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Manning, future candidate for Harris County 817 Precinct Chair. It's my honor to stand with you today and demand for the freedom of the people of Afghanistan. Like many of you today, I am enraged over the abrupt withdrawal of our troops, leaving the people to the violent predations of the Taliban. Make no mistake about it, the makings of a soft genocide are in place for the people of Afghanistan, especially those that helped us during the 20 years we spent hunting terrorism in the region. The terms endless war and nation building have been being used in the media and politics as of lately regarding Afghanistan. Whether we intended it or not, the length of time we spent in Afghanistan committed us to nation building. Think of past nations that fell from tyranny and rose again in civilized societies due to nation building. Nazi Germany and the Empire of Japan during World War II are perfect examples of what freedom and liberty are capable of building after a fall from tyranny. The beautiful thing about the American military is that it was built to secure and promote freedom and liberty. The American flag means more than just representation of our nation. Around the world, it is a symbol of freedom to the oppressed, a sign of hope to the hopeless, and a testament of what a nation of free individuals are capable of building. The people of Afghanistan saw that hope flying atop of the military bases and on the arm of every soldier. Our military delivered a sense of freedom and safety to security to a generation of people in Afghanistan whose parents and grandparents never knew. And while it may not have been the type of freedom we're accustomed to here at home, the seeds were planted to create a thriving society in Afghanistan, and the people proved it. 50,000 people in the Afghan military died fighting alongside our military for the safety and solidarity of their nation. 50,000 Afghanistan militants died in battle for the belief of a unified Afghanistan and a better future for their children and their nation. That is no small sacrifice in the name of freedom against tyranny. The failure in Afghanistan, in my opinion, will go down as Joe Biden's biggest mistake during his presidency. Staying away from the political divisions of this topic, we must ask ourselves, how can we support an administration that calls for gender equality and women's rights while subjecting women and young girls to a life of oppression and sexual slavery under the oppressive rule of the Taliban? How can we support an administration that calls for racial equality while subjecting people of color to vicious oppressive predations of the Taliban rule? The answer to this difficult question above is simple. The people of Afghanistan cannot vote, so this administration can't be bothered to waste their time and resources to create a free Afghanistan. To understand where we failed in Afghanistan, we must understand where we failed here at home. We are a nation in decay. Setting aside the fact that over the course of 4 presidential administrations over the conflict in Afghanistan, we were never able to clearly define our mission in Afghanistan, it also falls on the nation as a whole. What we project on the world is freedom and goodwill towards our fellow man. The world is so full of hate and discord towards other people over petty things. The goal of a free society is the exchange of culture and ideas and traditions to create a better tomorrow for our children. And if we can't hold to this standard as a society, we will never be able to end the oppression around the world. Thank you for letting me speak to you today about Afghanistan. From today on, you are all activists, whether this is your first protest or just one of many. What we are doing here today speaks volumes amongst other communities in our nation demanding that the administration fix this mistake in Afghanistan. Again, thank you. God bless our troops, God bless America, and God bless Afghanistan.
Afghanistan!
Zindabad!
Afghanistan!
Save Afghan allies!
Save Afghan allies!
Ground drone strikes!
Ground drone strikes!
Afghan women deserve an education!
Afghan women deserve education!
Save our Afghan media!
Save our Afghan media!
UN denounce the Taliban!
UN denounce the Taliban!
Expedite visas now!
Expedite visas now!
Zindabad Afghanistan!
Zindabad Afghanistan!
Azadi Afghanistan!
Azadi Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
I can't hear you. Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
Okay, I'm going to get a friend of ours that made his way all the way from New York at last minute, founder of the J. Cindy Freedom Movement, Zafar. Mr. Zafar.
Good afternoon. My name is Zafar Saito. I am from occupied Sindh, which is occupied by Pakistan. I am victim of Pakistan and Taliban's. Why I am here today with my Afghan brothers and sisters and the children, because I have suffered on the hands, my family has suffered on the hands of these Talibans. We did protest in Washington, D.C. on 14th August is a black day. On 15 August, my house was attacked by these radical jihadis. That's why I am here. My cousin was abducted. He was only 23 years old. I am here today to tell all people who are present here or the people who will watch this video later. I want to just request them, I want to tell them that Talibans never can be a good humans because they believe in radicalism. They don't believe in the humanity. They don't believe that these kids can get education. Our children go for schools. Our sisters can go for school. They can go in media. Today, you all guys, all sisters, all friends, here we are living in free world. But just think, the people who are living in Afghanistan, what the life they are living. Are they able to go outside in the streets? No, they are not. Are our women over there, they are good for the shopping? No, they cannot breathe. They cannot do anything. Please, I want to request United Nations, I want to request US government that come forward. All the civilized nations of the world, all countries of the world, all the civilized people must understand this, that this is not only the problem of Afghanistan, but this problem is going to be for whole world. One Osama bin Laden can destabilize USA for 15 days, 1 month. If now these Talibans who can produce thousands of Talibans, how they are going to paralyze this world? How these culprits can do the things which this world can be going in destruction? Our future is going to be destroyed on the hands of these Talibans. Before, there was 20 years before, there was only 3,000. Now they are going to be 3 million. They are occupying a state. Why we are not understanding? Why we are closing our eyes on these culprits? That they should be punished. They should be contained. If they are not going to be contained today, tomorrow they are going to kill all of us. What we are thinking that if we are living here in USA, we are safe? No, we will be not safe, because now they have a huge state. They have weapons, they have aeroplanes, they have atomic bombs. They are now friends of Iran. They are now friends of China. They are now friends of communists and fundamentalists. ISI is supporting them. They can take over on whole world. This is not only the problem for my Sindhi nation or Baloch nation or suppressed nations, but this is going to be problem for the whole world. So don't close your eyes. USA, White House, POTUS, United Nations, General Secretary, open your eyes. Today, it is the time for us to make them listen, give them lesson, strongly condemn them, attack on them. Why US is not attacking on these Talibans? Today, these Talibans must be attacked to save the future generations, to save the history, to save the culture of great Afghanistan, of Malala Afghan, of Bacha Khan, and all Afghan friends and Pashtuns who has already sacrificed 30, 40 years, 50 years in long war. What the face we are going to show to our coming generation, to our young generation after 15 years? What we will say them? That when Taliban was taking over Kabul, we was just closing our eyes and we was just enjoying our lives in United States, in European Union, in any other countries, and we didn't do anything for Kabul. It is not matter for us. Everyone can feed their bellies, but if we turned our backs to our Afghan brothers and sisters and the kids and the women, today, tomorrow, these our kids will ask the question to us that you didn't done anything to stop these terrorists, to stop these radicals who was against the humanity, who was against the prosperity, who was against the democracy. Afghanistan need democracy. United Nations, listen. White House, listen. Afghanistan need democracy. Afghanistan need elected new government, not these Talibans, not these Islamic terrorists. We need democratic ways. We deserve democratic lives. We deserve social and happy life, not just on the orders of cave life, or we are going to live in the 19th or 18th century or 17th century. Thank you very much. Free, free Afghanistan! Free, free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Save Afghan lives!
Save Afghan lives! Women, we can't breathe!
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 Free, free Afghanistan!
Free, free Afghanistan!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
Okay, let me give you guys some information. Okay. Can I get it all in unison one more time? Free, free Afghanistan.
Free, free Afghanistan!
Now in Farsi. Azadi ba Afghanistan.
Azadi Afghanistan!
Houston, we're stronger together. nation is not, the city of Houston, is the #1 place for diversity. I encourage you all, visit our Afghan restaurants, explore our culture. We have a very rich and vibrant history that dates back to 2000 BC. If we can learn anything, let's follow the same footsteps as our American Vietnamese brothers and sisters. They are a symbol of hope for what Afghan Americans can be in the future, and we should follow in their footsteps. Can I get a free Afghanistan?
Free Afghanistan.
We're going, Afghan lives matter.
Afghan lives matter.
We're going to play a song in Farsi. A lot of you guys know it. It's called Sar Zameen Aman. If you can bear with us, you can sing along. Sing along if you know the words.
Save Afghan women. Save Afghan women.
Save Afghan women.
Can you say Afghan girls deserve to go to school? Afghan girls deserve to go to school.
Afghan girls deserve to go to school. Can you say it one more time?
Afghan girls deserve to go to school.
Afghan girls deserve to go to school. Let me give you guys some statistics, okay? We're on the brink of a humanitarian crisis that's going to be worse than Yemen. 1 in 3 Afghans are going hungry. More than 500,000 people have been displaced. The Taliban U.S. The number of displaced people is now more than 570,000 people, 80% of whom are women and children. Tens of thousands of Afghans have fled the country, fearing more violence, with at least 113,000 people evacuated by the U.S. But that's not enough. We need pressure on our lawmakers, our congressmen, our senators, to demand our P1s, our SIVs, and humanitarian parolees to be evacuated. Can I hear expedite visas now?
Expedite visas now!
Expedite visas now!
Expedite visas now!
Zindabad Afghanistan!
Zindabad Afghanistan!
Zindabad Afghanistan!
Zindabad Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
Free Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan!
Delegitimize the Taliban! Okay. Let me give you some. The U.S. is hurting Afghanistan by blocking the reserves. How many of you guys have been trying to send money to your friends and family in Afghanistan?
All of us!
All of us. 3 weeks ago, Western Union finally unfroze that for us. Sorry, that mic is kind of loud. I won't sing. Much of Afghan central bank, 10 million in assets, are parked overseas, where they have considered a key instrument for the West to pressurize the Taliban. The UN warned on Thursday that freezing of billions of dollars of Afghan assets keep them out of the Taliban's hands would inevitably spark a severe economic downturn and could push millions of Afghans into poverty and hunger, which is now happening. For the last 20 years, Afghanistan has been one of the most aid-dependent countries in the world. With the Taliban takeover and the collapse of the US-backed government, which donor countries had supported with the pledge of millions, international donors are halting the flow of aid, and that's not what we need. We need humanitarian assistance now. Can I get you guys to say that? Humanitarian assistance now.
Humanitarian assistance now.
Expedite visas now.
Expedite visas now.
Afghan women deserve an education.
Afghan women deserve education.
Afghan women deserve basic human rights.
Afghan women deserve human rights.
Afghan women deserve basic human rights.
Afghan women deserve basic human rights.
Zindabad Afghanistan.
Zindabad Afghanistan.
Azadi ba Khanama.
Azadi ba Khanama.
Azadi ba Afghanistan.
Azadi ba Afghanistan.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Zindabad Afghanistan.
Zindabad Afghanistan.
Free Afghanistan.
Free Afghanistan.
I'm going to introduce Mr. Anwar right now. He is part of the South Asian Liberty Organization. If you guys can give him a round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Anwar Raza, and I'm the president of South Asian Liberty. We are a human rights organization working for human rights, and in our fold, we carry all the nations, including Afghanistan. Human rights violations, wherever they happen, is our concern. If it happens in India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, we raise our voice. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to assure the organizers of this event that we will be there for you. We are here in solidarity with the Afghan people. Why I say that? Because we have seen suffering ourselves. Being an occupied nation of myself, part of occupied nation of myself, I won't name the country, but we are occupied. We are occupied nations of Baloch, Sindhi, Pashtun, Hazara, and Hindus. We have been struggling for so many years, and now in this fold, Afghans also included. If you really look at it, it is a struggle which has been going on for decades. It is not a new one, and it will continue. I'm here to show solidarity, my support to all the Afghan people. We know some of them will be coming over here, and they are being processed in Fort Bliss in Texas, and some will be coming over here. So they will need our support too. Just like the way people who are here, who are enjoying the freedom here, you were first supported by the community who already existing. We are the people left behind, they are taken care of. They are not starved to death. They do not become another Somalia. If the United States want to know who the real Afghans are, look behind me. Look at those young people holding those flags. These are the real Afghans, not those dirty, bearded mullahs. They do not represent real Afghan people. These people who destroy Bamia Buddhas and tortured women and children and murdered many Afghans. They cannot be representative of Afghanistan, and we should be protesting about it. And at the same time, we got to find a way. I do not know how we can help those people left behind, but we got to find a way, and we got to have heart for them. They are suffering. They don't have food, they don't have water, and they don't have medicine. It is our job, as we enjoy the freedoms in America, it is our job to raise our voices for them. They deserve our support. And I'll be here, my organization will be here. Feel free to contact me. I have my numbers for anyone who wants to reach us. South Asian Liberty will always be there for you. Thank you.
Afghanistan!
Free Afghanistan! Delegitimize the Taliban!
Delegitimize the Taliban!
I'm going to get, Max, you want to start speaking? You want to talk about ground strikes? I'm so
I'll
sorry.
do it. I do it. I stand for my people. I stand for my Afghan people, and I stand for everybody over here for showing love, coming over here, supporting us. Thank you guys so much. Afghanistan!
Thank you.
Thank you so much. One thing that we all know, it's been more than 40 years. Before I'm born, before my kids born, it's been war in my country for decades and decades. I'm asking all the humans, I'm asking everybody, why everybody's not doing nothing about our country, about our people? Where the humanitarian go? Where humanity go? Where the United Nations go? Now these governments make so much money off these guns, rockets, tanks, you name it. And now they have drones. Is in control of nobody. All these drones are in control of nobody. These drones are made against humanity. It's made against us. Please, I request everybody to don't sit silent. If you think your time is gone, but remember, your generation, the new generation, we're not gonna give up. And I ask all our leaders